We work hard as physicians to take care of the health and well-being of our patients. But when it comes to our money, do we have the same condition of care? Probably not. Let's change that together. Welcome to the Financial Freedom for Physicians podcast, where we'll fight and advocate for your financial literacy. As always, I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Liu. Thanks for being here. Let's jump into the show. Hey guys, I want to welcome you guys to the Financial Freedom for Physicians podcast. We've got a great episode this week. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button as well as the notifications bell, and be sure to like, comment, and share if you like this episode, and we'll get into this week's sponsor and show. This week's episode is sponsored by CityVest. CityVest has quickly become the most popular and best way for doctors to invest in top-performing real estate private equity funds that are usually reserved for institutional investors. This unique access to investing in these institutional funds is available for the first time ever through CityVest's easy and secure online investment platform. CityVest does the hard work of conducting due diligence and vetting the investments. They even get a third-party due diligence report that is posted on their website. As a result of aggregating a several million-dollar investment amount into their access funds, CityVest gains access to investing in the institutional investment and is able to negotiate better investment terms such as a 12% preferred return. You can check them out at cityvest.com or go to the link in the show notes below. Now on to the show. Before we begin today's content, here is a quick disclaimer. The information and material presented here is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as investment advice. The content is not a recommendation to buy or to sell. Some of the content may be for accredited investors only or may be sponsored posts. Every investment carries risks. Results have not been verified, so carefully weigh those risks against your investment goals and objectives and see if acting on the information matches with your investment thesis. Do your due diligence prior to investing, and as always, do not invest more than you can afford to lose. So welcome everybody to this week's podcast episode for the Financial Freedom for Physicians podcast. And I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Liu. And as you know, I talk about 4 types of freedom. First is financial, time, location, emotional freedom. And my audience is physicians, high income earners, and now investors, entrepreneurs, business owners. So my mission is actually to create a space in a community where we can empower and inspire each other to achieve the 4 different types of freedom on different levels and to really get creative and get the message out there. So today we have a guest. His name is Eagle Star-Bowen, based out of Washington. And he has a very interesting bio, and he's gonna talk us through all about finances. And I'll just give you a brief bio and I'll let him introduce himself. So his mission is to make a huge impact on the lives of blue collar men and women. And he's had a very interesting upbringing, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And he's actually on a mission to correct financial injustice to the working class and middle class families. So we're going to talk today all about finance, the financial industries, and we'll go from there. So Eagle Bowen, welcome.
Thank you, Christopher, man. What an honor to be here. What an honor to be able to share my heart and my passion and my mission with people. So thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to come on your show and just really, pour my heart out and collaborate with another person that wants to go out there and help people do amazing things in their life through financial stability, right? So yeah. I'm truly honored to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I know we were talking backstage and hearing about your backstory. So, tell us, you've had an interesting background and how that influenced you where you are today.
Yeah, my life is not unlike so many people's as far as growing up, maybe with the odds stacked against us, right? So my backstory is, I'm 42 years old now, but I was born into a very dysfunctional environment, dysfunctional family, not financially secure at all. My mother, God bless her, I love my mother, but she had some very severe mental health issues. And my father was a hippie drifter and never around. When I was growing up, I remember early in my early years of my childhood, I never knew what was going to come, whether it was going to be, I didn't even know if I was going to be able to eat that day. I didn't know if I was going to be able, get like slapped across the room, and a mental episode with my mother, or what really was going to be the fate of the day. And so I learned very early on. This is something that I did very early on in life, is that I would not want to ask my mom for food stamps because we were a poor family. And I knew the little bit that my mom had was food stamps, and it was to provide food for us on the table if and when we were able to have it. And a lot of the times, the food that we were able to have came from the food shelter. So I would learn the importance of making my own money. So what I would do is, at like 6 years old, I was out knocking on neighbors' doors, asking them what I could do to earn some money. So all these little sweet little old ladies, elderly folks that were in my little small town would open their doors, and I'd be like, excuse me, is there anything I can do, any work that I can do to earn a little bit of money? So they'd just give me something to do, give me a couple quarters, and I'd go down to the store and buy a crayon box and fill it with candy after I got my money, enough money. And then I would tote that thing around like it was my most prized possession, because it was. So early on, I kind of learned the power of, being able to make money, but I didn't learn how to do the right things with it. What I learned how to do was just spend that money on things that didn't really serve me or my future. It kind of served a want at the time, but that was as deep as it went. So ultimately, I ended up in foster care and bounced around from a couple homes, a group home to another home, and then to a final home with who I call my hero in life. Man, I love this man more than life itself. He took me and my sister out of the foster care system when I was 12 years old. And, I tell him to this day, Dad, you might not have saved me from death at that point of from malnourishment and physical abuse, but you saved my soul. You gave me a strong male role model that I could be proud to emulate and that I could learn from. And I learned so much from him. I call the things my three pillars. So that's work ethic, character, and integrity. Of how to show up in the world, be compassionate. He told me one thing growing up. I was about 14 when he told me this. And my dad, he's an old school cowboy, right? Like just imagine John Wayne, but tougher. That's my dad. Right? So he was quite the example, but man, a heart of gold. Raised me with tough love. But he said, son, if your fellow man needs the shirt off your back more than you need it, give it to him. And I never forgot that principle that he taught me. He's taught me so many great things, but the one thing he was never able to teach me was about money. He didn't have any. We struggled. We had enough. We had everything we needed, but I didn't learn. I learned how to make money, and that's it.
That's a very powerful story and very inspirational. What resonates with me, like just growing up, learning about growing up, money was the key to freedom. So if you had, if you could get your finances right and straight, then you could, call your own shots. So, and then just about the trauma we have around money, guilt, shame, not enough, just, all of that. So, which you'll talk about later. So tell us, what you're in the financial industry now, and prior to that, what were you doing and what made you switch career paths?
Oh man, that's a great question. So before I got into the financial services world, I'd been a blue collar worker my whole life. I grew up my whole life working on a ranch, working with my hands, working with my physical gifts.
Uh-huh.
Thank the Lord, I have the ability to work hard, and my body's sturdy, and I was always strong and able to do things that other people couldn't. But so I ended up, in my early 20s, mid 20s, becoming a union iron worker.
Uh-huh.
So, I was a union iron worker in the field for about 16 years, and I'm still a dues paying, card carrying member of my union. And I will always be. I'm so grateful for the opportunity that ironworking gave me as far as my ability to make a good living,
Uh-huh.
and use what I knew how to do, which was work with my hands and do physical things.
Uh-huh.
But I switched because I love ironworking and I love what it gave me, but I just knew it wasn't the end of the road for me. I had a bigger purpose, I had a bigger passion, and I wanted to help people. And I don't want to just build these amazing, awesome buildings and these big bridges and put up these tower cranes and stuff like that. It's great and I love it. But one thing I need more than anything in this world is to be of service and to have a fulfilled mission. And I knew if I stayed on this path of ironworking, which would serve me well for 30 more years, until I retired. But what I saw as the outcome of that is I might make some money, but I'm not going to live a fulfilled, purpose-driven service life. I'm going to make some money, but that's not what drives me. Now, money is important, don't get me wrong, but when I was exposed to this company and this opportunity of being able to actually help people just like me, just like my family, and just like everybody else that I pretty much knew, and help them be able to get on the path of financial independence with real and true and correct and complete information, I knew right then and there that I needed to get my licenses and I needed to start doing this. And I needed to go out there and help people just like me in my sector in the blue collar work, create a financial life for themselves that they can be proud of, where when the time comes and they go to hang up their hat and retire, they can do it without having to worry about money. They can actually just do it to begin with because they have financial resources and the ability to do so before their body stops them from being able to actually enjoy the fruits of their labor. So I just saw this huge opportunity to serve people just like me. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I made that change. And that's why I knew that this was the path. And if I told you the story of how I even got into this, it's like truly the answer to a prayer, and I'm just so grateful. And that's what made me switch. And that's why my mission is so powerful. And as you can see and hear, I'm so passionate about what I do because it's changed my life, and it's changed my daughter's life, and it's changed the future generations of my family. And I desperately want to help other people do the same thing and not end up, like my great father who's 72 and will always have to work for someone else until I give him the life that he deserves, which is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That again, very inspiring. So you've been through, you grew up in the lay of the land, and you decided to give back and contribute and to people that were struggling, and that people just needed more education, information, and empowerment. So that's very inspiring. As a brief interruption, Michael Kwan has a new course titled NFTs Unlocked, which is a premium membership that gives you full access to classes, training, an online portal, private Discord to learn about NFTs, its unique, exciting technology, how to make money in NFTs, as well as how to prevent yourself from getting scammed by bad actors, scam artists, and how to practice digital safe practices to keep your digital assets safe. To join the membership, you'll be charged an initial one-time fee of $7.99, followed by monthly dues of $59 per month, starting 30 days after the membership has begun. And you can feel free to cancel at any time. As a special guest to all of our listeners, Michael is giving us coupon codes $200 off for the join fees. So instead of $7.99, it's now $5.99 by using the code Dr. Chris DRCHRIS or Dr. Chris DOCTORCHRS. Either will work. If you go to the website www.nftsunlock.com and try the coupon code, we hope you enjoy it. Now back to our show.
What is do you notice any uh overarching themes around money, especially in the blue collar sector, just around working, saving, earning money, investing money, any overarching themes, and what are some of the tips you could give to people younger so that they could get started early?
Yeah, an overarching theme that's kind of like a bad trait is that people work so hard for their money
Uh-huh.
and they're scared of losing it. They're scared of making the wrong call. They don't have good information or a source they can trust. They don't have someone like them. They can go into all these fancy offices and meet all these fancy dudes in suits or ladies, and that's great. It's not what we wear that matters. Where our heart's at is what matters, and they just don't feel like there's somebody that can relate to them. So there's always that kind of hesitation or reservation just on who can I trust. You see movies like The Wolf of Wall Street and stuff like that, and that even if it's an entertaining movie, it still puts that thought in people's head. Is like, what's going to happen if I make the wrong move? I'm going to lose everything I've worked for, and I busted my back for this. So there's that sometimes that people are nervous about. Well, guess what, folks? I've been in your shoes. I've been in your shoes. I've lived that same fear of losing what I have by making a wrong decision or trusting somebody and then them making a bad call that ends up costing me everything. So there's that reservation. And just not having someone that I feel is like my person, like that can relate to my struggles, and my things. And then the other part for the advice I give for young people, don't wait. Start now. For you to actually create wealth, you need time or you need money. And if you have both working for you at the same time, you're going to be flat out, stone cold, independently wealthy if, oh, by the way, at an early age, if you do the right thing and put that money to work for you the right way and understand the power of compounding interest over time. So, and I got a story of an opportunity that I missed when I was young. You mind if I share that story?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
So when I was in my early 20s, I was probably about 20. I was 19 or 20. I just graduated high school. I just moved to Seattle off my little small town farm. The first time I'd ever been on a freeway is when I threw my duffel bag in the car, a pillow, a blanket, and had a $5 pot that I bought at a yard sale and said, I'm going to go to Seattle and I'm going to go to school. And I'm gonna start my life. And so I was working at J.C. Penney's in Bellevue Square Mall, which is a town outside of Seattle, Washington. And I was in the watch repair department. And across from me in the photo booth department, where you do your family photos and stuff like that, there was this woman that she tried talking to me one day, and she said, "Hey, Eagle, my sister is married to a guy that is one of the early guys in this company called Amazon."
Uh-huh.
And she said, it might be a good idea for you to invest a little bit of money with this company called Amazon. I mean, even like $1,000 or $2,000. And I believe that it's going to really be something powerful. And at that time, my mindset was like, I'm away from my parents and away from that structure. I'm just going wild. And to be honest with you, I was doing what typical young people do. I was like trying to meet girls and trying to look cool, find my identity. So my thought process that time was when I get my paycheck, is I'm going to go upstairs and I'm going to use my employee discount, get all these cool clothes that I think the girls are going to like, that I think is going to attract friends and people to me. And I couldn't have been more wrong in my life about that, but I didn't invest that little bit of money in Amazon at that time. And look what Amazon's become. So taking advice. So every time I talk to a young person now, I tell them that story about missed opportunities, what it can turn into if you do the right things and you focus and prioritize the right things now, early in life. Then you'll be able to have the life that you truly never even thought was imaginable if you start doing the right things and let that stuff work itself out later. Make your money, invest your money in the right places where it can compound. And you could even start with a little bit because you're young and let that work for you long term, and you will become wealthy.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think that's well said. And then that's what Einstein said, that compounding is the eighth wonder of the world. So,
He did.
Yeah.
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 Are you familiar with his other quote about compound interest?
Tell me.
Those who understand compound interest make it, those who do not pay it.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. Yeah. So, and yeah, it's interesting because, like, during this, we're in a recession now and bear market, and so many, now is the time to, have the dry powder. You did your investing and research, and now you can buy up a lot of good bargains right now for 40, 50%, so that's how Joseph Kennedy, that's how the wealthy, the big dips, they buy and buy. So
Right.
so let's go on to, so you talk about so start early, compound in time, and then you wrote a book. Tell us more about the book and what it is, and what made you decide to write it.
Well, man, number one, I've wanted to write a book for a really long time. I just feel like I have stuff to say, but I never thought that it would be a financial book, to be honest with you. I always went back and forth in my head. It's like, what should I write a book about? Should I write a book about how my adversities, being born into a bad environment, is the best thing that ever happened to me? Or should I write a book about just saying, go for it? Like, take that risk, do the thing. And like, you're going to learn or you're going to win, or what should I write this book about? So ultimately, like, after I got into this financial services industry, I started realizing that for the general public, everything that they've typically been taught about money is a lie, right? And they're being used. Because there is ways out there to, number one, you at least need some education. So if you have a 401k and 403b, IRA, SEP IRA, annuities and things like that, and, you have money in the bank, you need to understand how all that stuff works and how it's working for you and against you. And you at least need to have true and complete information that can help you understand what you have. Because, a lot of times, you get a 401k or something like that, you go to a new job and you talk to the HR person that really doesn't know anything about the plan. She just says, here's this, here's this, here's this. Sign this, choose your percentage, and that's what's going to happen. It's going to come out in check, and we're going to give you this match and things like that. Meanwhile, the person that's going to have it really knows nothing about it. There's no education, nothing's taught. And so I wrote this book because once I realized that, hey, people don't have enough information, they don't have right information potentially, and they just don't have any information. So how can they ensure that they're making the sound and right financial decisions that it's going to truly benefit them in the future? And so I said, I need to teach people and show people the truth. So my book is called Bottom Dollar, The Truth About Money and How to Become Financially Free and Independent. And what this book was built to do was give people complete information about all the accounts that they're either currently using, thinking about using, have used, so that way they can verify that they're doing the best right things for themselves with real and complete unbiased information. And then also I cracked the code, which isn't really a secret, on what the wealthy are doing, where they're putting their money, how they're guaranteeing their compound interest, how they're able to leverage that money, how they're able to get the tax advantages, and really just enhance their wealth over and over and over and over again, just like families like the Rockefeller have done for now 8 generations later. So, how to really set up your family with the trusts and things like that. So the book was written for information and also solutions that, everybody has access to. And, if you can qualify for these things, you can use them.
Yeah.
And most people can't qualify.
Yeah. Nice. And so the interesting concept is, bottom dollar. And what do you mean by bottom dollar, and what's the significance of that?
So for me, it's partly just catchy to me, right? So bottom dollar, like here, I always say, like, here's the bottom dollar. Here's the truth.
Okay.
Here's the no BS. Here's the truth. Bottom dollar. Here's the bottom dollar. I bet my last dollar on this. Here's the bottom dollar on what's actually out there on the financial vehicles that you're using, thinking about using, or have used. And then here's ways you can enhance it. And, that way you can at least be informed and, feel like you're making complete and real financial decisions that are going to benefit you.
Yeah. What a fascinating discussion. Very inspirational journey. And now I know you help clients and, help people rethink their way, how they view finances. So this has been a great conversation. I know people in the audience may want to find out more about you, learn about you, contact you, and maybe even work with you. So how can they do that?
Well, I'll say the number one way is you can find me on Facebook. My name is Eagle Star-Bowen. Feel free to send me a friend request. Feel free to send me a direct message. If you would like a copy of my book, you can go to www.bottomdollarmethod.com. If you would like to get bulk orders or just individual books or anything like that, you can get them directly there. I will autograph them for you personally. Or you can find me on Instagram at bottom_dollar 2022.
Awesome. And for all the listeners on the show, Eagle Star's references and links and everything will be included in the show notes. So Eagle Star has been a very insightful and impactful conversation, and we look forward to hearing about your future success.
Awesome. Thank you, Christopher. Again, thank you for having me on. What an honor to be on your show and to speak with you today. I really hope I brought a lot of value to people, and, people can really, know that they have someone on their side, and they can see and hear, like just how truly passionate I am about what I do to help people.
Yeah, definitely.
What a fantastic show. I hope you enjoyed our very special guest. Just remember, as a shout out to our this week's sponsor, CityVest.com. CityVest gives you access to the best real estate private equity funds with enhanced investment terms, verified due diligence, and lower risk. You can check them out at cityvest.com or click on the link in the show notes below to hear about their upcoming investment offerings. If you enjoyed that episode, don't forget, that's just the free content. We also have paid premium content subscription with better guests, information, updates, and discussions that can't be accessed anywhere else. You can subscribe to our premium content by clicking on the link in the show notes below to subscribe. Just a quick note, members who sign up for the bottom floor price introductory the first year will be grandfathered into that price for life. I expect the monthly subscription amount to increase quickly next year and the year after, so don't delay. I'm excited that you made it for another episode. You are truly the best. If you've been following the show for a while, you know that my passion is to bring you the education you need to find your path to financial freedom. Please come back week after week for new content, new resources, and great guests. Until then, if you haven't already, please be sure to check out the website, www.drchrislewmdphd.com for more support. I'll see you next week.